Hi everyone, and welcome to the Weave Along. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm so excited that all of you are here. The first thing that we need to do is get our looms warped, so I want to spend a little bit of time today talking about how to warp with two ends at a time. I always do this with everything I weave. It's a great way to maintain even tension throughout your warp, and it also makes the weaving go much faster, or the warping go much faster because you're weaving with two threads instead of one. So I have my warping board here. I've already put a guide string on for our 4 3/4 yard warp that we're going to be warping or winding. And I just want to tell you, I will try to stay out of the way as much as possible so that you can see what's happening on the warping board. I've printed out page 6 of the pattern. This has the warp color order on it. And you can see I've got a little sticky note here ready to use. What I'm going to do is put this on the wall, and then every time I wind that particular number of threads for that color, I'll move my sticky note so I can keep track of where I am. So the first thing I'm going to need are 28 threads of red. I'm going to put this up on the wall and get my yarn ready. I have a spool holder here, or a cone holder that I like to use when I'm warping. The cones sit on these pegs, and then the yarn comes up through a screw eye that helps the yarn to feed evenly off the spool. If you don't have one of those, and I didn't always have one, what I used to use is a coffee can. The coffee can is narrow enough to keep the spool from falling over and rolling around, and it will hold it in a position so that that yarn will feed evenly off of the spool. So you can use that or any other way that you can think of, so long as your thread is coming off both spools in the same way. You don't want one of them turned this way, rolling around in a bowl or something, while the other one is feeding off the top. So let me just get that one ready. When I attach the yarn to the warping board, I use a slip knot. And the way that I tie a slip knot is by making a loop. You can see I'm just turning this, making the loop so that I can reach through the loop and grab a hold of the end. It gives me a knot that I can adjust, make it smaller or larger, and also that pulls out easily when I need it to. So that's the kind of knot that I'm going to be using for attaching the yarn to the warping board. So to start with a slip knot, I'll attach it down here to the first peg. I make my cross up here at the top. I weave, I warp my loom typically from back to front. So, and I only make one cross. Some people like to make two crosses. They do a threading cross and also a rattle cross. You can do that however you like. Once you've got those two threads on the loom, on the warping board, I'm going to let them separate as they come off of the spool rack. And I'm going to put my fingers just through those, and that's what I'm going to hold on to with my right hand, and I'm not ever going to let go of those. I'm going to put them first, guiding them with my left hand around the pegs on the left to my left. And then when I come back over to this side, I can guide them with my right hand under and over that peg. I'll come over, start over toward the other side. Then what I'm going to do is take my left hand, reach behind those threads, and grab them, guide them under and over the peg on the left, come back toward the right. Again, I'm going under and over. And then here where I'm making the cross, I'm going to go over the first peg, grab the yarn again, go under and over the peg on the left. Then when I come and get ready to start back down, I'm coming over the top of the second one, and here's where my cross is happening between those two pegs. Then as I go back down, I reverse the direction that the yarn is going around the peg. So when I'm going down, the yarn is going over and around, coming back in this direction, over and around, over and around, taking hold of it in the middle, over and around, and then coming under this peg and over before it reverses and goes the opposite direction. So when I'm coming from the bottom and moving up, I'm always going underneath the peg and over the peg, underneath the peg and over the peg, underneath the peg and over the peg, under, over, under, over. Then starting back down, I'm going over and under, over, under, over, under, and always slowing down in the middle so that I can take a hold of that yarn and guide it with my left hand when it's on one of the left-handed pegs. I need to count as I'm going, so I'm counting by twos. Here I have 1, 2, 3, 4 double threads. So then I know I have 8 of my 28 threads that I need. So I'm just going to kind of quickly do the next 20, and then I'll show you how I bring the next color in. Okay, I finished winding all 28 red ends. Remember, I'm winding 2 at a time, so my count on the warping board was only 14. If that's going to confuse you, it's a good idea to make notes on your paper or somehow or another so that you can remember you only make half as many turns on the warping board as there are ends listed on the warp color order. In other words, for 28 ends, I counted 14. I did not cut the red thread. What I did was bring it over here to an unused peg on the right side, wind it around 2 or 3 times, and push it to the back. That will hold that and keep it out of the way until I need it again. So now I need 8 ends of orange. So I'm going to do 4 passes on the warping board. I'm going to start the orange yarn the same way that I did the red, with a slip knot attached to that first peg, lifting it up so I can see how it's feeding off of those cones. Put my fingers in there, and I'm not holding this real tightly. I'm not putting a lot of tension on it or pulling hard on it as I go around the warping board. I'm just trying to keep relaxed and maintain an even tension on it. So I'm going to do 4 passes. I want to remember that what's going to prevent these ends from twisting, which is a common problem that a lot of people have, what's going to prevent that from happening is consistently going around the pegs in the same direction from bottom to top and from top to bottom. So one thing that you can do is remember that when you're going up, when you're moving up, you're going first under the peg and over the top. Under the peg and over the top, under the peg and over the top. Then when you're starting down, you're reversing that direction and you're going over the top and under the peg, over the top and under, over the top and under, and so on. So there I've got 2. I sometimes count out loud to keep myself straight. And again, as I mentioned earlier, just keep those threads pushed toward the back. That will also help with your tension. So now I've got gone 4 times, got 4 doubled threads, so I have my 8. What I'm going to do now, instead of cutting the orange, is the same thing I did with the red. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to wind that 2 or 3 times around an unused peg and push it to the back. Now I need 8 ends or 4 double threads of the red. So I'm going to take the red off of the working board, make sure that I'm not getting it tangled with the orange, and come back over here to the first peg and just start again and wind those next 4. So I'm winding 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when I get down here, I'm going to go over to that unused peg, wind around 2 or 3 times, push it to the back, and then I'm ready for the orange. I can move that orange out. It's not tangled with the red, and it's ready to go. Okay, I've wound a little over 1/4 of my warp. I'm not going to wind any more than that for this section. If you wind your warp in smaller sections, either dividing it into thirds or quarters, it's much easier to manage as far as taking it off the warping board and getting it on the loom. When you've finished winding your last color, I end the thread just the same way I started it, with a slip knot. What I do is come over here to the peg where it's going to end. I make a loop close to the peg, reach through and grab that, and then that makes a loop that I can slip right onto that peg. And then I'm ready to cut it off. So you want to make sure that you tie your choke ties every yard or so. I usually tie them in order with the cross, so I have one here close to the end. In all of these sections, I tie one up here, and then of course I tie the cross. Don't ever take your be in a hurry to take your warp off the warping board, because if you forget to mark the cross, you have a big mess and have to start all over again. So it's a good idea to have some checks that you go through every time to make sure that you are ready to take that off the warping board. I want to just say that if you are learning to do this for the first time, take your time. It's supposed to be fun. It's a lot to think about because you're counting. You're also trying to remember which direction you're moving around the pegs. There's just a lot to think about. So don't try to do too much at a time. I would say do a little bit, stop, count what you've done so far, and make sure that you have the right number of threads on the warping board before you move on. And just have fun doing it. I mean, I want this to be fun for everybody. I don't want it to be something that's stressful for you. And so I just can't say enough. Just relax and have fun, and let me know if you have any problems with it. And I will look forward to seeing you when you have your loom threaded. I'm going to post some links to other videos that show different ways of threading a loom, back to front, front to back. That's not something I'm going to do, but there's some really good videos out there, and I'll make sure we have links to those. Sometimes it's a good idea to watch a couple of them so that you can see how different people do things, and then pick the ideas that you think might work best for you. So thanks for watching. Have fun, and I'll see you soon.